Hey, that's dope.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Arrowhead Stadium. Today it's the regular season finale as the 11-4 Chiefs meet the 5-10 Chargers. The Chiefs have already locked up the AFC West for a fourth straight year, but their playoff seed has yet to be determined, although we'll know more on that over the next few hours. Well, the Chargers look to finish the season strong and hopefully find some answers this offseason to what was a disappointing season. That said, the 38-year-old Phillip Rivers is still the engine behind the Chargers train, and he'll face a red-hot Chiefs defense that's been the league's best ever since these two teams met 6 weeks ago down in Mexico City, and we'll break it all down for you over the next 30 minutes. I am BJ Kissel, joined as always by 10-year NFL veteran Shawn Barber, and Shawn will be joined a bit later in this show by Kansas City's own Tech 9, so you're going to want to catch that. And then Matt McMullen's got our inactives. Mitch Holtis, just as always, is going to tell us a story in a little bit. But Shawn, it's week 17. We've got all the storylines. We've got all the stats. But for the Chiefs, knowing what's ahead of them and that there's a chance for a new season, they can move up, but they need some help. This is really about staying healthy today and about ending the regular season on a good note, because this team is clicking on all cylinders heading into this game. They just need that to continue.
Hey, man, you can tell by the fans that are here in the stadium right now, they are ready for one thing. They want to see an end of 2019 on a strong note. They want their team to finish off this decade on a winning note and to take a win here today in Kansas City. Yeah,
they want to finish the regular season strong. Hopefully, we're finishing off a week that all of you got to spend with your families for the holidays. Definitely. Got the New Year coming up. Should be a lot of fun. But when you look at this matchup, you start looking at the numbers. You don't have to look any further than just the domination against the AFC West. The Chiefs have won 26 of their last 29 games against the AFC West, looking for their 10th out of 11 against the Chargers today. But you look at this matchup, again, it's about ending on a strong note, and it starts with Phillip Rivers and shutting him down.
Yes, right. Kansas City, Aaron, as Coach Reed has always asked the players to do, you want to let your personality show. You want to create an air and a dominance of the AFC West. And we have created that, but it has to be something that we do consistently. Yeah. Week in and week out, continue to hold that dominance. We have our thumb on the AFC West. We don't want to let up. Don't even let the other teams in the AFC West breathe. Yeah. And we have a chance to do that here today against the Chargers.
And they've done that. And again, you look at the Chargers record, you can't let it fool you, because most of their losses have been by just one possession. Right. I think only one loss they have has been by more than one possession. We know down in Mexico City that game went down to the wire, and it took an interception from Daniel Sorensen in the end zone to really seal that game for him. But for the Chiefs, one of the storylines for this game has nothing to do with this game, has to do with what's going on around the league, because that's going to determine if the Chiefs play next week, and if they do, who their matchup is against. Obviously, a lot of eyes are going to be on the Dolphins-Patriots game as the Fighting Fitzpatricks try to go up to Foxborough and take down Tom Brady and the Patriots, so the Chiefs can get that number 2 seed, get it by. But besides that, the most likely scenario looks like the Tennessee Titans, but you've also got the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Oakland Raiders as possibilities depending upon what transpires throughout today.
Yeah, you can't worry about who the opponent's going to be. You can only take care of things that happen in your house. And that's one thing Andy has been doing the entire season long. Never looking ahead, not looking at playoff scenarios, just taking care of what we need to do to become a better, a more rounded team. Whether it's the running game, whether it's being balanced, pass or run, or taking care of the personnel. They've made all the moves, all the changes, for this team to be the best team, I feel, in the AFC going into the playoffs.
And so much, Shawn, you know, so much of it has to do with luck. Has to do with staying healthy going into this point in the season. And so right now we're going to go to Matt McMullen, who's got today's inactives for both teams.
Thanks, BJ. Well, not too many surprises this morning at the inactives meeting. Morris Claiborne will not play here today, but that's no surprise. We knew that coming in on Friday. A few guys who were questionable coming in, Andrew Wiley and Xavier Williams, they're both out this afternoon as well. Another guy that was questionable, though, Cam Irving, he is active here this afternoon. He was sick all week, but he is active here today for the Chiefs. He won't start, but he is active. A guy that will not play, obviously, Spencer Ware, placed on injured reserve earlier this week. That means LaShawn McCoy, Damian Williams, and Darwin Thompson all active out of the Chiefs' backfield here today against the Chargers. For the Chargers, one guy that will not play of note is Russell Okung, the big tackle. We knew that on Friday he wasn't going to play, but he is inactive here today for L.A. A guy worth mentioning for them, though, all-pro safety Derwin James. We didn't see him the last time we played the Chargers. He was rehabbing an injury pretty much all season, but he came back earlier this month, and he is active here for them this afternoon. He's a guy to watch out for in that secondary, one of the best to do it in the business, so definitely a guy to keep an eye on. But BJ, the biggest thing in my opinion today, staying healthy. No big news about injuries is good news going into the postseason. Let's see if we can stay healthy here today. BJ, back to you.
That's good stuff from Matt right there, especially about Derwin James. We're going to talk about that matchup in our second watch point. But right now, let's start with the Chiefs' defense, the way they've been playing. Because a lot of it started because of that game down in Mexico City. They were able to pick off Phillip Rivers 4 times in that game. And one of those interceptions from rookie Rashad Fenton, who is actually going to play today for the first time in a while. And you see those interceptions right there. Tyrann Mathieu got things started down in Mexico City. Phillip Rivers, the story of his season. He's got a lot of passing yards. They've moved the ball, but it's turnovers. Yes. Turnovers have been the problem for the Chargers this season.
And if you look at what we're doing, talking about our back end and what our safeties are doing, you see Mathieu, he's been pointing to his head saying he's becoming smarter and smarter on the back end, being able to read the quarterback's eyes. He's actually in the quarterback's brains, knowing where they're attempting to try to manipulate, have him going to try to create a window, and he's just jumping routes. He's playing that position at a high level. You watch Sorensen close off the game, another pick. That's one thing Phillip has done. He's given us a lot of gifts. It's the holiday season, so we need a few more gifts, a couple more turnovers. But up front, our front 4, or we should call it our front 8, because the way we've been able to rotate bodies is keeping our guys so fresh. We've been able to finish the half strong and finish the game strong. And then in the middle, between the secondary and the linemen, is our linebacker crew. And I think Hitchens, Ragland, and some of our young guys have been playing that linebacker position at a high level. So we just keep coming together as a unit. We have a lot of trust, a lot of consistency, and I think that's what allowed us to be so good, so effective in the red zone for the second half of the season.
Yeah, it's been such a beautiful synergy between the front 7 and then the back end. Those guys getting pressure up front, and we saw that again starting with that game down in Mexico City. We didn't know it at the time publicly as much about what Frank Clark was going through, that he was sick down there in that game, but that was really the game that Frank Clark kind of established himself, reminding everyone this is why they made the trade, this is why they filled my pockets a little bit with some money. Came out there and has been on a tear ever since, and we've seen, again, they get pressure up front, and those guys in the back end are making plays, just why over the last 5 games that Chiefs defense has allowed just 4 touchdowns. Again, just 9.6 points per game since that meeting back in week 11. And the one aspect of today's game, if you want to get really nerdy and pay attention to the details, to take your eye off the ball a little bit, the matchup that I'm excited about watching today is how do the Chiefs blitz Phillip Rivers? And the reason that I bring that up is over the last couple of weeks against Drew Lock and against Mitch Trubisky, the Chiefs defense has been on a tear getting after the opposing quarterback. And granted, both those are young quarterbacks, but they've combined to go 11 of 30 passing the ball when the Chiefs have blitzed them. The Chiefs have thrown the kitchen sink at these young quarterbacks, and they haven't found success against it. Well, the Chiefs blitzed Phillip Rivers not a lot, but they found a little bit of success. But over the course of his season, Phillip Rivers has been very good against the blitz. He's a veteran quarterback. You're not going to surprise him. Completed 68% of his passes with 8 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions, which means, Shawn, 16 of his 18 interceptions this year have been when teams have not blitzed him. You put more guys in coverage, you give your guys a chance to make a play. We saw that down in Mexico City.
Yeah, I think one of the weak points we find in Chargers is their offensive line.
Yep.
And if you can get to them bringing 4, sometimes bringing 3 and dropping 8, then that's what you do. But you always want to give that appearance that somebody's coming to try to speed up that play clock in the quarterback's mind. And I think that's the thing, Andy, no matter if it was Bob Sutton or Steve Spagnuolo now, they've been making Phillip Rivers rush through his reads, rush through the process, and kind of throw up some 50-50 balls that our guys have done a good job of putting themselves in position to come down with. So I think that's the thing we've been doing really good against Phillip Rivers, is we kind of know, because he's a veteran, how he reacts to certain looks, and we've been using that to our advantage.
I think all fans know how he responds to not certain looks, but certain problems that happen during the game. He gets pretty animated, gets pretty after it. And speaking of getting pretty animated, that guy right there has been a terror against the Chargers. His matchup on the left guard, Dan Feeney, has been something that I've personally been watching for the last couple of years. He's had a lot of success, whether it's Chris Jones helping create more turnovers. Again, the Chargers have created this. Chris, let's go, buddy. Chris out here getting excited, getting the crowd going. But again, 29 turnovers, 4th most in the league for the Chargers this year. And one thing when it comes to pressure on Phillip Rivers, if you want another storyline to watch today, Terrell Suggs, one of those mercenaries they brought in late in the season. He is just 2 sacks away from moving up a couple of spots on the NFL's all-time career sack list. If he gets 2 sacks today, he will move up to 7th all-time in NFL history in career sacks. That would be an amazing accomplishment. And right now we're going to send it to somebody that has had a lot of amazing accomplishments throughout his career. And voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holtis, who's going to tell us a story.
Most of the great stories have the hero against the villain. Think about, Superman against Lex Luthor, or Batman against the Joker. Well, the Chiefs have had villains throughout the years. Think of Ben Davidson trying to lacerate Len Dawson's kidney back in the old Municipal Stadium, or John Elway tormenting the Chiefs for years and years as Broncos quarterback. In recent years, at least since the mid-2000s, one of the main Chiefs villains has been Philip with 1L Rivers. Remember, his first name has only one L in it, not two. Now, like any story, the villain has the better of the hero early on. Philip Rivers is 14-14 against the Chiefs, but he won 13 of the first 17 games. But just like the story, like Batman or Superman, Spider-Man, any hero, he tricked the villain into thinking they have the upper hand. It was the last game of 2013. The Chiefs were playing their backups. Kansas City was already in the playoffs. They couldn't move the needle. So they almost had the game won in San Diego. But Ryan Suckup missed a 41-yard field goal, and the Chargers made the playoffs. But the hero tricks the villain. Oh yeah, the Chargers got to postseason. But since that fateful kick, the hero has had the better of the villain. Kansas City has beaten the Chargers and Philip Rivers 10 of the last 11 times. The only exception was last year's Thursday night game when Rivers had the two-point conversion to Mike Williams to stun the Arrowhead crowd. But 10 of the last 11 times, the Chiefs have had the better of Rivers. When he had the upper hand, Rivers had 27 touchdown passes. In these 10 losses in 11 games against the Chiefs, Rivers has thrown a whopping 20 interceptions. He had 4 this year in Mexico City and could have had a 5th, but Honey Badger dropped the fly ball to center field. Plus, the Chiefs have sacked Philip Rivers in the last 11 games a whopping 28 times. Now, many think in the National Football League this will be Philip Rivers' last trip to Arrowhead Stadium to face the Chiefs. The Chargers have a lot of decisions to make at quarterback and other areas in the offseason. But for one last glorious chapter in this battle between hero and villain, here comes Philip Rivers against the Chiefs one more time.
All right, good stuff from Mitch right there. And right now we bring in a guest that doesn't need any introduction, but we're going to give him one anyway. Mr. Kansas City's own Tech 9. Now,
Yes,
Tech,
sir.
you are going to
How you
get
doing, brother?
You're doing pretty well. You're going to get this thing started. You're going to get this crowd ready to go, getting up there in the GEHA drum deck.
Oh, man.
How much are you looking forward to getting the crowd going to get this game started?
Man, I've been coming to these games since I was like 4 and 5, man, with my Uncle Ike, man, and I never thought I'd be the one, man. And now that I am, I'm gonna beat the hell out of that drum.
All right, sounds good.
Well, talking about your uncle coming to the game, what is one of the most memorable moments? Memorable moments. Okay, it's that game. I think I could have been like 5 years old this time. It was so cold. It was way colder than this. And he brought me to the game, but he brought me these little things you can crack and put in your your hands and in your shoes. I was so small that they was burning my feet. And I had to take off my shoes in the cold, you know what I mean? That's one memorable moment.
You got to get the cardboard to stand on. That was always the trick when you were younger, to bring that cardboard.
Yeah.
But for anyone who's listening to your music, I know that you always mention Kansas City. You always talk about pride that you being from here. Just why is it so important to you? Every time you sit down to write a song, it feels like every time there's a mention of Kansas City and you being from here and representing where you're from.
I'm born and raised, baby. This is my comfort zone. Yeah, I've moved to LA and moved back, bro. You know what I'm sizzling? Like, this is where my family is. This is where my love is. You know what I mean? This is the place that I know, like the back of my hand. This is where my love is.
Love it.
You have a lot of impact and influence on the city. Yes. Recently, you've done work with 15 of them homies. That's an amazing thing. Yes. But as you spread, like you're saying, man, I got to give you the props. The #1 independent label in the nation.
Thank you,
right?
man.
Strange
that took a lot of
music.
work. That took a lot of work.
a lot of hard work and perseverance.
Chris Calico been with me as long as, like, how long?
Like 20 years. 20 years. 20 years.
That's what I said.
So what's next? What's next? If you when you have that entrepreneurship, that vision, what's next for you in Kansas City?
Oh man, right now we're working on new records. Right now, man, I'm working on one called Interfere. He's working on one called what?
It's called Forever.
Yes. But we're building so much more, man. We got a distribution company we just started. Oh man, we're expanding like crazy. Strange Music, Travis O'Gwen, Tech 9.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this matchup. Let's talk a little bit why we're here right now. And this team right here this season, when you've been watching this group, the way the defense has come on, is this the year? You've been doing this long. You've been coming to these games forever.
Yes.
Is this the year?
See, I'm superstitious, so I never want to do anything or say anything that'll sway the direction we're going. I know the direction we're going, but I'm not going to speak it. Ain't that right, Chris?
No, we don't want to jinx it. We don't want to jinx it.
Spoken like a true Chiefs fan, doesn't want to give anything up. Right now, we appreciate, Tech, you joining us. Enjoy getting that drum going and getting things started.
Let's go.
An ambassador of Kansas City. And right now, we're going to send it to another ambassador of Kansas City, and Matt McMullen, who's got some stats and records to keep in mind for today's game.
Thanks, BJ. Well, we all know what an electric playmaker Tyreek Hill can be, and look no further than his career against the Chargers to see that playmaking ability in action. Hill has 435 yards and 5 touchdowns against the Chargers in his career. That's 6 full games. He is averaging 16 yards per catch in those games and has 6 catches of at least 25 yards or more. Pretty impressive stuff. Those 5 touchdowns are the most receiving scores the Chargers have allowed to any opponent since 2016. And unsurprisingly, the Chiefs are averaging 32 points per game in those matchups. The Chiefs didn't have Hill for much of their last game against the Chargers, as he went out early in that game in Week 11 and didn't return. But he's back, healthy, and ready to go for this one, and I'm excited to see if he can continue those ridiculous numbers here this afternoon. Hey, might help the Chiefs win one of these later on this year. BJ, back to you.
Hey, Matt, that's the goal. That's what everybody's fighting for right there. And I think he brings up a great point right there with that stat with Tyreek Hill and just the success that he's had against the Chargers. When you look at this matchup today, it's deep passing. It's what we've seen from Patrick Mahomes lately. But you look at Derwin James didn't play in that game. Tyreek Hill didn't play much in that game. That's what I'm looking forward to. Derwin James is one of the best young safeties in the game. I'm excited to see how his impact makes in this game and how the Chiefs kind of combat that.
Yeah, I think offensively we got to continue to be consistent, taking what the defense gives us. And that's one of the things I think Pat has made tremendous growth in his progression going into year 2 and now into year 3 after the MVP season. Was he going to be touchdown hungry? Is he going to chase 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns every season? That hasn't been the case. He's taking exactly what's needed to get first down, get us in the red zone, and then take advantage when the advantage was given to us.
Yeah, you just saw Patrick Mahomes there right there getting loose. And the thing that I'm excited about, Shawn, is that we've seen Patrick Mahomes get healthier every week. He was dealing with the ankle injury earlier in the year. Then he was dealing with the knee injury that caused him to miss a few games. Then he bruised his hand up in a game. So he's been banged up all year. But the last 2 weeks, one of the stats that I look at to see how's he feeling, he's moving around in the pocket a little bit better, is how is he delivering the ball deep down the field. Beyond 10 yards the last 2 weeks, Patrick Mahomes is 20 of 24 for 353 yards. And one of the reasons is the guy that you were just looking at there, Travis Kelce, who has a chance to hit another milestone record. We talk about him every week. Travis Kelce needs 6 catches today to get 100 receptions for the second time in his career. He'll be the first tight end in NFL history to have 200 catch seasons. And then talking about Patrick Mahomes, has another chance at a record, delivering the ball to all these different weapons. Everybody's healthy, getting it going. We're seeing some of these throws he's made over the last couple of weeks down the field, right there to Sammy Watkins on that big 3rd down last week against the Bears. Here to Travis Kelce, just buying time, offensive line giving him a chance to deliver the ball. And if Patrick Mahomes can go over 300 yards today, it'll be the 19th time in his career, which would be an NFL record for a quarterback in his before he turned 26 years old. 25 and under, more 300-yard passing games. We are seeing a quarterback do things to start his career that have never happened in NFL history.
Yeah, I think Pat will be the one to tell you he's not going to be caught up on any accolades, any achievements. This is just the next progression to make sure this team is looking and hitting on all cylinders, getting ready for that playoff push. You want to see consistent balance in that run-pass game. You want to see the accuracy on the routes being run and the accuracy and the touch of his throw. Like he told EB a couple weeks ago, EB, I can spin it in anything. That means any time of the season, no matter if it's week 17 or week 1 of the playoffs, we got to be prepared for Pat Mahomes to come out, showcase why he is an MVP level elite quarterback, and he's the future of not only this organization, but the future of the NFL.
Absolutely, and what we're going to see is Chiefs going up against another good defense. They've been doing it all year. We said last week on the pregame show that like 8 of the 10 top defenses in the league were teams that the Chiefs have played when it comes to scoring defense, and we can't not talk about the Chargers defense and not mention Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram, and the challenge and the matchup to watch with Eric Fisher and Mitch Schwartz, the 2 tackles against the 2 edge rushers, guys who have combined for 114 quarterback pressures this season. Say whatever you want about the Chargers, the season that they've had. You can't say it about Derwin James. He's been injured for most of the year. And you can't say it about Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram. Those are maybe the best pass rushing tandem in the league.
Yeah, the dynamic duo is going to be here, and they're going to be some trouble. So our offensive line is going to be a great challenge. But as always, he's always stepped up to the challenge. Whether we need to chip, whether we need to hedge, bring the tight ends, crunch a formation, whatever we have to do to kind of eliminate some of that get off by Bosa and Ingram, we've done it. And we've been able to do it and still be consistent with our offense progressing down the field. So no matter what they do on defense, no matter what their personnel, our Chiefs offense has always been able to be one step ahead of the curve. They're going to continue to do that this game. Early on, I would like to see a lot of different personnel packages, a lot of shifts and motions. That's one of Andy Reid's staples of his offense. And then let's see these running games. Let's see these running backs get loose, continue to run downhill, and let's see this team go, baby.
Maybe it's Darwin Thompson Day. Maybe we're going to see a lot of the rookie here in Week 17. But I know a lot of Chiefs fans. We're going to move on to the next segment here, which is around the league. And now they're in Week 17. There's a few games, obviously, around the league the Chiefs fans are going to have their eye on. And Shawn, let's start with the Dolphins at the Patriots. Ryan Fitzpatrick's ability in Week 17 to go and try to shock the world. Let's not pretend that the Dolphins haven't done it before.
Hey,
they've been in this situation before, and they've come up and bit someone. Can they go to Foxborough and at least make it interesting?
Hey, man, I think it's going to be more than just interesting. Fitzpatrick, Devontae Parker, they got some offensive weapons. The tight end, the rookie tight end, second-year tight end, they got some offensive weapons to be dealt with. And I think that rushing game gets started. Man, I think it's going to be a lot closer. I don't think Edelman is 100%, and that offense just hasn't been clicking all season. If they don't block a kick or a punt, the Patriots might lose 3 or 4 more ball games. So I think if the Miami Dolphins play it close to the vest, look for that game to come down to a field goal at the end, I'm taking the Dolphins to go win it.
And let's not pretend that Brian Flores isn't going to be fired up for this game. We can say whatever you want about the Dolphins. You're talking about one of his disciples, Bill Belichick disciple, going to Foxborough in Week 17, having a chance to knock them out of a first-round playoff bye. That's going to mean something to that team. You talk about Devontae Parker's got a little money in his pocket now. He just got paid. It wouldn't have been bad to hold maybe off one more week, just dangle that carrot in front of him for one more week. But that's obviously going to be a big one to watch, and it'll be interesting to see how Chiefs fans react in this stadium. I'm on the sideline. You get to hear it, and you just hear like little pockets of cheering. You immediately get on your phone, like, what did they just see on their phone? What did the Fighting Fitzpatricks do up in Foxborough? Now let's move on to the next one. Tennessee at Houston. Sounds like from reports, Houston's resting their starters. So what can Tennessee do? If Tennessee wins, most likely scenario, if the Patriots take care of business, Chiefs are going to play the Titans. What do you want to see in that matchup when you're watching it from a Chiefs perspective?
Hey, man, I want to see the Titans have to fight their butts off in order to get a win. I don't want them to be able to use this week as another bye week trying to get rest before they come see us. So the Texans, they should go out. D-Hop might be rested. Deshaun Watson might be rested. Of course, J.J. Watt might be rested. But the rest of the team is still capable. You're at home playing. You want to still show some respect, show that you have the capability. So I don't think it's going to be an easy win for the Titans. I think they will win the ball game, but it's not going to be an easy win.
Now, do you think the Steelers can go to the Baltimore Ravens and shock the world? Because, again, I guess it's not huge shocking because Baltimore already secured their spot. They're going to be resting their guys. How motivated is RG3 to come out and put up some numbers going into the offseason? But can the Steelers do it?
I think the Steelers, based off of Duck Hodges being a starting quarterback, I think they still lose. It doesn't matter who the Ravens have at quarterback. I think RG3 makes a comeback today and shows he's still got a little bit left in the tank. And with the way they've been leaning on the rushing game, I think anybody can man that offense. Not with the glamour and the spark and the splash of a Lamar Jackson, but I think the Ravens defense can still get it done against the Pittsburgh Steelers today.
Yeah, the biggest key for all of these games and the Chiefs as well is for these playoff teams is staying healthy. You don't want to have any big injuries today for any of these teams because that's not what you want. You want your best football team forward going into the playoffs. Now let's get into one of our last segments here, bold prediction. What do you got this week? What's your bold prediction for today's game?
The bold prediction is simple. The Chiefs end up in the number 2 seed with a bye week. Plain and simple. I'm not going to tell you how it gets done. It just gets done.
Well, there's only one way that gets done. You think Fighting Fitzpatrick's.
The Fighting Fitzpatrick's.
Taking
Devontae Parker.
care of business.
Taking care of business, baby, every day.
And Mike Gesicki, the tight end you were
Mike
mentioning
Gesicki.
earlier. The former
Let's get
volleyball
it.
player, jump ball guy. Loved him coming out of the draft. My bold prediction is that Terrell Suggs gets 2 sacks and moves to 7th all time.
Ooh, I like that.
They're going to run a little stunt on the left guard, Dan Feeney, and that's what I see happening. I've seen it before. I've seen this
T-Sizzle,
movie
baby.
before. I have seen this movie before. And right now we've got some crazy selfies going on. We got everybody wanting to join Field Pass right now. All right, Shawn, again, this is about finishing the regular season strong and staying healthy. What do you want to see from the Chiefs offense? What do you want to see from the Chiefs defense before we wrap this show up?
Hey, every phase I want them to be playoff mentality. Keep it simple, keep it smart, stay healthy, stay in your fundamentals, technique sound football. No penalties, not sloppy play, no offsides. Play good fundamental football, right? Play tough, hard-nosed, tough football. Get out of here with a win, and let's see where we're going next week. Let's see what the playoffs hold for this Chiefs team.
We've talked all year about checkpoints, about winning the division. You celebrate it as a checkpoint. You don't celebrate it as the accomplishment and calling the season successful. One of those other checkpoints, the 12 wins. The Chiefs win today. They get a 12th win for the consecutive seasons. Never been done in franchise history. Doesn't mean it's a successful season. It means you're hitting checkpoints along the way to that ultimate goal of getting back to the Super Bowl for the first time in a long time and bringing that Lamar Hunt trophy back to where it belongs here at Arrowhead Stadium. That is all we've got for us on Field Pass here. For Andrew Sherry, for Greg Tongue, for Glenn Connolly and Anna Topkin behind the scenes, I'm BJ Kissel, that's Shawn Barber. We appreciate you watching Field Pass. Catch them after the game. Shawn and Mitch Holtis will break this down on Chiefs Rewind. Besides that, enjoy the game, have a safe and merry new year, and we'll have a good one, Chiefs Kingdom.